Alright, today I'm going to be playing some Islanders New Shores. It's a sequel to the original Islanders, and this one adds a layer of polish, makes UI elements look a little bit better, buildings a bit more distinct, and it also adds a few more buildings and mechanics to make runs feel a little bit more fresh compared to the first one. You don't want to be playing the exact same game, right? Um, I played the first one religiously when it came out, but I've never gone for anything, as you can see right here, on the leaderboards. I could, if I wanted to, compare myself against others, but I'd rather just compare myself against myself. So I'm going to be playing the first island over and over and trying to score chase on it for as high of a score as I can get. I'll be comparing it from video to video to see how well I do and if I'm improving. Hopefully I do. Um, Now, in the first game, when you select a new island, people would just refresh over and over until they get a really good island. That being one with a lot of land, because you can't place as many buildings on water as you can on land, specifically houses and mansions. Those are like your bread and butter. They don't go on water. They can't. You can put fishes and stuff there, but see an island like this, because I've only got a small beach and then a pretty cramped area up here because there's a lot of ridges here that are going to prevent me from placing bigger buildings. It's not going to be the greatest if I wanted to score chase on this, but we're going to play with what we get and see how well we do. So let me add my first building pack here, and now this is a big decision. Every time you see buildings, if you don't select one of them, you are never going to get that building, of course, in your hotbar. So let's say on an island like this, where I have a lot of, well, I guess I have a lot of trees. However, you don't get too many lumberjacks. I don't have too much sand. I don't have too much of anything really, but I'm majorly going to be playing for the statue up here, and then a city center down here to be able to maybe fit platforms later coming out of this area. I'm gonna say that a brewing pack is not as beneficial as the brickmaker, or it's going to be more beneficial than the brickmaker pack because I'm going to be able to place hops on the sand, leaving the grassy area up here for other buildings. Same as how the brickmaker pack would. But specifically with the brewing pack, you'll be able to. Ooh, or am I going to change my decision? Because the brewing pack can interact with taverns to give them a much higher score and resort oases. But those ones require a lot of parks to be able to like get a high scoring amount of points. Brickmaker packs, they will play off of masons, which go well with houses, and those are early game packs compared to the tavern or anything else like the resort oasis. Like the things that interact with this are later game, which I don't think I'm going to be able to get to on this small of an island. So taking the brickmaker pack, while it doesn't scale as well into the late game because you just place down the sand pits and they don't interact with much, the brickyards themselves, sorry, this is the sand pit, this is the brickyard, it's going to do more. So I'm going to choose this as my first pack, and hopefully we'll leave the brewing pack in the dust. Also because they just take up so much space as buildings and we're working with a very limited amount. So scoring in this game, usually buildings won't want to be placed beside other similar buildings. Like a sand pit, if I place it down in a spot that gives me the most points, within that area, you'll see that I get a minus to my score. We don't want that. So the best way to like maximize our space is to slot these in the corners as much as we can. And then you'll see that this guy has a smaller back than he does a front with his range, meaning that we can slowly walk them out, rotating them as we go, to get more 15 points. And the closer that we get these together, the more that a single brickyard is going to be able to affect. And I want to put the brickyards pretty close to the walls to be able to get masons to score points off of them, especially because I'm planning my first city up by the statue, because the statue will grant extra points for any building, like any building that goes beside it. So the smaller the buildings, the more that we can get around the statue, the better. Houses and mansions, pretty small comparatively, and they stack, or like they like being close to each other. So it's a lot easier than spacing out two sand pits to be able to get points. I should probably just start placing buildings. Let's start right here. Let's get a 15 point, and not think too much about it. You could go crazy planning out the beginning of your city. It's sometimes better to just place down buildings and get rid of that choice paralysis. Nothing more than that. I could see if any of them reach the statue. I don't think any of the ranges would, and it's only an extra 3 points that I'm probably going to want for other buildings in the future, since they'll be able to be more compact. Now, again, we've talked at length about the brewing pack and how I don't want it because it takes up too much space, so I'm going to go with a seaweed farm pack here. These guys, I want to try placing them as late as possible, or I can place down the seaweed farm first, but the seaweed fields, because they get plus 8 points, which is a massive amount for how many seaweed farms there are nearby. If I can put like 3 of these guys in the same area and then get 24 points on each of these when you get them in such a high abundance, that's a good thing. And also, many things that like want to be close together will be. Like, you can think about this game more as naturally what wants to be beside each other and what doesn't. If this is taking up nearby sand resources, it doesn't want to compete with another thing that's taking up the nearby sand resources. But if you have fields closer together, you're able to farm them better. So like, yeah, of course you're going to want to have them beside each other. So let's try to find a good place for a seaweed farm. I want it nowhere on this main island because I'm going to be so cramped for space. So let's look outwards a little bit further. Now I can place them on some pretty high locations, and you'll see that they need to be over top of the water a little bit to get some extra points. I think they can from, really high up. So you could do some you can't do it here, but you could do some funny things where this seaweed farm up here won't interact with one down here because all of the radiuses in the game are spherical, maybe elliptical. I'm not gonna get into it, it's a little bit too hard to see. But over here there's not enough spaces for other seaweed farms to be beside it while being near seaweed fields. Sure, I could place a seaweed farm up here, but that's only if I want to score off of seaweed fields that are down below it. I would rather have it close to the water so that the seaweed fields can get more points. And you can also see that these only get +4 for seaweed being beside seaweed fields. These ones get +8. So I want to be placing down these ones first and fields beside the seaweed farm afterwards. Now I'm looking over here, and while this might be good real estate for something later just because it's a square of space, I'm seeing that I could place a seaweed field here and here without the radiuses interacting, and another one right here to be able to pick up on all of the seaweed fields that are going to be between them. So that's a good area, and there's a lot of other branching out spots like over here on this next corner. There's just a lot of nice corners to be able to place my seaweed fields down. I'm going to try to resist doing this just because other buildings might be able to use that space better, because this is a water building. I want to be able to use it on the water as much as possible. Now, I could do a seaweed farm here and then place seaweed fields in between and then another one here, but the seaweed farms themselves aren't close enough to allow one seaweed field to be in range of both of the farms. So that's a no-go. Same thing with over here. The next best bet is to place them on these rocks here, one on this side, one over here, and they won't be in range of each other. Then any seaweed fields that I put in between can be in range of both of them, or maybe even all 3 seaweed farms. But that seems a little bit too cramped, probably only for like 2 or 3 fields. I'll get like the maximum amount of points, and I'll probably want to spread these out. Plus, they interact with fishers and other late game items that have a long amount of range. So if I place down some of those like city-esque buildings around fishing-esque buildings, I'll get some more points. So I'm going to start with my seaweed farms out here. Now, deciding where your first one goes is always a difficult choice, because I could place one right here and pick up all of the space, but I need to make sure that it's not going to be blocking out any future positions. So I'm going to try putting a seaweed farm down here, and I will see that I could get all of the seaweed fields in front of a guy that I place here, and all of them in front of a guy that I place here. But because it also takes up the space that I want to use for the farm that's going to be on this corner, I'm going to place this guy first, I believe. Then everything after that, I will just have to place with that in mind. So this guy would pick up his fields. Let's see if... Yeah, okay, that's a good space between them two. Then I would place him in this direction so he doesn't interact with this guy. And I'm going to place this guy over here, and it's far enough out that it doesn't interact with this guy, but it still picks up all of the seaweed fields that I'm going to be placing between the two of them. So we start with you here. Let's get you on the corner. And where I can't stop them from clipping, I will. I will be clipping for points later, but it always looks nice if they're not. There's our first seaweed farm. And again, we're going to hold out on the seaweed fields as long as we can. Now, let's see if we can score enough with the brickyards to get our next pack, which is 30 points. So, if I were to get a 17 score and another 17 score, I'd be able to get it. But there's probably no way for me to finagle it to get those two. So, brickyard here, maybe I can get 13 points. And if this guy isn't in range of my other brickyard, which I don't think he will be. 13 goes pretty far out in this direction, actually. Oh, okay. I was under the assumption that it was going to be a 10 all the way up here, but a 13 there is pretty nice. Meaning that I need to place it over here or further. So if I find a way to get him to the corner, there we go. Make him face out, make him a little bit prettier. Go there to take up less space. So there's brickyard 1 and brickyard 2. And that's going to be nice for when we place down warehouses or masons because they like being near brickyards. However, it is taking up space from other buildings that could score like houses. But because I'm playing to hold on to my seaweed fields until I get more seaweed farms, I'm fine with making that decision. Now, you see city pack, you take city pack. You want as many houses, mansions, and city centers as possible. Well, not so much mansions, in my opinion. Mansions are basically houses that give more points to just regular things around them. Like if I put this beside a statue, it's only worth 4. If I put this beside a statue, it's worth 5. But you'll see that the mansion radius is much smaller than a house. So if I can get some houses beside multiple city centers, which grant them, let's see how many points, 6. These guys, it's 8, so they're scoring more. If I can get them beside 2 city centers, which is so much more common, then they're going to pay a lot more than mansions. Sucks that I get 3 of them because I don't have to place any of them, but it's going to happen eventually. So we'll decide on the city center later. I'm seeing a seaweed farm, and I've already done so much planning that I want to place it down right away. So the original plan was to place 2 seaweed farms close by here. Now, I'm thinking I could maybe even sneak a 3rd one in by placing them backwards like this. I want to be able to get 6 points from a seaweed farm, but I don't think there's going to be any way that it'll let me while respecting this guy. So if I did even more planning, I could have placed a seaweed farm here first, and then this guy just facing out in the other direction second, and then this guy here 3rd, and then this guy here 4th, building seaweed fields here and then here. So, small mistake. It's going to be something that I can get on my next run, I guess. So, let's go with the original plan of just placing this seaweed farm down, trying to get him. I like him being directly in line with the guy over there. I just want to make sure that there's still going to be some seaweed fields, yeah, that hit both of these farms. The farm that goes here and the farm that goes here. So, seaweed farm goes down. And now that I have the 2 in place that I wanted, I'm going to cash in on some of these points. Or no, before I do that, planning out where my city center goes is going to be a good idea since it gives a really high base score. Now, like I said earlier, I want to have as many houses and mansions beside the statue as possible. And my usual form of play was to place the city center, say here, and then I would place mansions in between on this side because I thought, oh, more points is better. More points is better, but I'm learning, or at least I think I've learned, that placing houses beside the statues is better just because more of them are going to interact. There are other buildings later that like you segregating your area into just mansions and just houses, so I don't want to intermix them anywhere. I'm going to save mansions until I have things like parks and fountains. I'll determine where to place them later. But the city center, I want to have in range of the statue and allow other buildings to be placed within range. Now, parks can get points from the surrounding trees, same with lumberjacks, and there's a lot more here than usual. So I want to try respecting nature, not covering up any trees when I don't have to. And I think having a set of parks up here instead of any kind of houses would be nice, just because then any big buildings that work specifically off of parks, kind of like how things can work off of mansions or houses, they're all segregated into one area. There might be no, I think there's more plants up here than down here, so it is better to leave this as a park area and this as a city area. Now I want to be able to maximize the space that I'm going to be able to place houses down, but it's so small that I don't really think there's many options for me to. I think placing a city center on this side is going to be better, and then I will place like 2 city centers. No, because I want to place city centers, 2 of them beside each other, so that I can start scoring a lot off of the houses that I place. And the only real space that I have to do that is down here. I mean, maybe, no, I could do it up here and then make my mansions down here. And I am going to need the early points from the statue. So I'm thinking city center here. 2 city centers side by side here, a couple houses on the outside to be able to get points from them, but placing them majorly on the inside first. This is all just like a vibes-based thing. There's no correct way to do this. We'll see how it pans out as the run progresses. So let me stop overthinking and place a city center down. Now, when you do this, you'll also want to make sure that, say, a double-decker house, like this, can fit just in between without very much extra space. You could always leave a small gap behind for things like skinny parks or walls, but I'm not going to do that yet. I don't think I want to play around walls being on the inside of my city. I think in this game, they changed them from the way that old Islanders did it. They're a lot more maneuverable, so I can place them really wherever I want to, and I want to leverage that. So the more squished, the better. Now, we've got 25 points to go, and I think, 2 seaweed fields is going to do it, which feels great. Let's try to find a space that just barely nicks the guy on the right. And still will allow us to match up the hexagons so that I don't have like too much leftover space on one side. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that the net itself also counts as space on the farm. It's not just the building here. So a seaweed field all the way out here can score on all 3 of them if I get the farm on the corner here. Interesting. I'd say learn something new every day, but if I could play Islanders every day, then there'd be a lot more videos on the channel. Here? Perfect. And we'll always open up a new building pack. So, lumber pack. There's a lot of buildings that take a detriment for when you place down lumber. Those being parks, resort oases. I can't remember all of them, but anything that like wants greenery to be around hates when you cut it down, right? I might take the brewing pack just because I could maybe see putting some out on. No, there's not enough space on that island. I could put some out on the sand here, and it's not going to take up the space of my major cities, especially because I don't want to put lumber packs down or lumber yards here if I want parks to take up that space. So I think I am going to concede on the brewing pack now. Ooh, that's a lot of houses. That feels nice. We're gonna wait on putting down anything from the brewery pack though, because if I can hold off for long enough to where I'm going to use the space for other buildings that aren't just worth a base 5, then I'm fine too. Let's go over here and place some more seaweed fields to, outside of the range of what could be down here. Now, you'll also notice that I'm putting small ones more close to the... That's a misplay, actually. I should be putting the small ones closer to the center, not taking up as much space. And I should be putting the big ones far out to the sides. Ah, now see here, I've got half a hexagon of space left over and half a hexagon of space left over on that side. So I would have liked to have moved everything over a little bit more, but I think the original placement here was just barely in the range of this guy, so not much I could do about that, or not much I want to change at this point. Ooh. Now this guy, because he's a bit bigger, the center of his radius is on this point instead of in between the two here, like the half guy was. So he doesn't get the points from both of them. So I'll just undo that and actually redo my set of moves. This is the optimal pattern. Or what I would think is optimal. It's too hard to figure that out in a game like this. This is going to be the last seaweed field that I place before I place any more farms down, because my next farm is going to be here, and I'll try to get up one seaweed field that scores off of all three of them, maybe another one that scores off of all three of them somewhere over here, and then just scoring off of two is good enough. So last seaweed field for now. Oh, reminder to hydrate. Whenever I take a drink of water, I'm going to remind you guys too as well. Always something good to do. Okay, what's next? Oh, here's the masons. That's so nice because we wanted to have them beside all of our houses. Now I do realize that that's a lot of points for mason. I put the city center a bit too far back. I do want another city center that's close to these guys because, or is it houses, benefit for 2 points off of masons. So I'm placing houses more on this side. I guess I could cram a small amount of mansions in over here, but it's just not enough to really matter. So I guess I am just gonna have to concede and play houses there. So masons are gonna go down first. They don't like being beside each other, and I want them to be as close to the houses as sorry, I should explain. They cannot go on flat surfaces. They can only go on angled ones. They get built up off of them. I would like to... Oh, they can't even go on vertical surfaces. I didn't know. Maybe some vertical surfaces. They're a bit funky. They're just general cliffs that they go on. So while this guy gives 22 points and he's in a prime location, I want to see if I can get a second one that also gets the full 22 points and is in a prime location. So I don't know how far to put him off to the left and right. Gut reaction, and it's just the one I'm going to go with, is that I'm going to put two right beside each other over here. That way all of the houses that I place down like close to now are going to benefit from the statue, the city center, and the two masons. And then as I get more masons, I'll build off to the left over here, and then I can place more houses down on this side. So the first mason, let's get that 22 points and find a place for him to... Odd. Come on. I think that's as far as we're going to be able to push him out. So go there. Okay, so a mechanic in the game is after you finish this first dial, you're able to travel to the next island. So I'm not going to be doing that because we're playing the first island for as long as possible. Whenever I finish a set amount to be able to get my building back, I'm going to be drawing 5. Every time I guess I don't know the exact scaling yet, something to figure out in the future. After getting a certain amount of points, my draw will go down to 4. We'll only get 4 new buildings on a pack, going all the way down to 1. So I might not be able to score as high as I want to on the first island, but learning how to play the early game so that I have as many options as possible for the mid game to set up my late game properly is a good idea. Having 8 of a particular building, just like 8 of something compared to like... I don't know, just having more buildings to consider is always something that's nice, because you've probably already realized, oh, I shouldn't be placing these before I place these. I want to place multiple seaweed farms before I get too many seaweed fields. There's always contingencies in this game. So the more options that I have, the better I'm going to be at, like, the better my score is going to be. Okay, so next up, I don't have too many more things to get me to that 25 points. The hop field is only worth 5. The brewery beside it is only worth 9. they're not going to get me there, and I don't want to use their space too much. So I'm going to play the house game because I've set up perfectly for it. Now I do want a second city center over here, and I'm going to be placing it on the left side here. So I'm going to try placing houses as far away from this city center as I can so that, no, I think I'm going to place a city center here next. So that means that I can place houses off to the corner over here, score them, and then houses that I place further inward in the future are going to hit this city center. Now I do also want it to hit the statue, but that might be asking for a bit too much. I could start here, but I'm going to move in a little bit more just so that I can Tetris them a bit easier. You'll see what I mean with the next house that I get. Houses come in, I think it's 4 or 5 different shapes in this game. Squares, L blocks, S blocks, corner pieces. So like this square, but with one of the quarters removed. And I think that's it. The L blocks come in both variations, one hooking this way, the other hooking the other way. So now that I've placed this at like halfway on a city center, you'll see that this guy locks into place really, really nicely. Something that I'm going to be setting up quite often. So I think the next building that I want to get is... It doesn't matter if I get the full 16 points on this one, because I only need 10 to get to the next pack. So I could just place them here, call it a day. But I might... I think I'm going to place them a little bit further out, just so that when I do place the city center down here, I've got more space for the houses. So let's hope for a city center. Come on. Now, again, lumber pack or lighthouse. I should also be considering that I only have limited draws in this game. So higher impact buildings, one building, a lighthouse, or an entire pack. The lighthouse is going to be more valuable because when I select it, I'll also get 1, 2, 3, 4 other items because my draw is at 5, meaning that this building that's just going to zoom out. That's just going to give me something like 30 points, 40 points. I think if I place it beside my seaweed farms, it's going to be better. So I'll place this at the end, or as late as I can. Place down as many seaweed farms and seaweed fields as possible. This one building is a lot better than just say like a brewery over here. So in the early game, you want to be picking up these, or I shouldn't say in the early game because sometimes the brewery pack or the lumber pack might be better to set up for late game builds, but because we're playing on the first island only, it's going to make more sense to take the high impact buildings whenever possible because our draw is going to limit us, which actually I think that's what's going to be limiting us in this game. I'm used to playing a couple of the later islands where you can run out of space to build. It's still difficult to, but I think it's almost going to be impossible now, thinking about how the draw is going to limit us so much. So I said no more seaweed fields until I get that next seaweed farm over there. So I'm going to wait, which also means that I'm waiting on this lighthouse here. So the only options that I should consider are these guys. Now that does kind of suck because I need 70 points and that's going to be a bit hard to get to. So I think I placed some mansions out on this side. Like I said, I wasn't going to before, just because I want to start using up this space again before the city center goes over here. So let's try to fit in as many as we can in between both the statue and the city center. There seems like a good starting point. Oh, it doesn't lock in. It really... Can I slide it in? I can, but it doesn't get me the full 15 points. So I'll wait on that one. I could also just do this. It does waste those 2 blocks of space, but it's not like I'm really using them. I guess this is a better use because it only wastes comparatively. This is 2 little squares lost. This is only 1 little square lost. So we'll place it here. And the next mansion can just... I mean, that's a perfect fit. I got it. I'm just going to stop thinking about it. And I don't think there's a way for me to get both the statue and the mansions anymore. So I will just place him here. Now, I said that I was worried about space before. I think that's an Islanders 1 only thing. So for Islanders 2, I'm going to be able to just place these hop fields with reckless abandon. They get Bonuses for being beside breweries. Breweries benefit slightly more from hop fields. You want to place breweries last. So we're just going to stack as many of these beside each other and wait on the brewery. We're 1 point off. Sadly, I can only undo by one move, meaning I can't go back and try to eke out one more point from a mansion over here. So we have to place down another house. And that is feeling like a pretty good one for right now. It does mismatch a little bit on this side, but there's nothing that I'm going to be able to get out of this small amount of space. Okay, lumber pack or farming pack. We're going to go with the farming pack because I've already started placing some hop fields down here. Having a resort oasis or parks near these guys can get you a lot of points. And mills, because they're in... I don't know if they're considered an industry building specifically, but because they're like producing a good, they're nice around warehouses, which brickyards and I think masons are the same for that reason. So I want to try placing a mill as close as I can over here while still somehow getting wheat fields on them. And that's what I forgot. You can see that these orange tints are pretty similar. This is sand. Can't place wheats here, but I can place them up here. So I guess I could look for a mill spot up here and start placing down some wheat, but I'm going to be placing my houses before I do any of that. They score too many points. And again, mills can only be placed just like fields can, which feels a little bit odd. It feels like a mill is just a building on something. It shouldn't matter that it's on fresh ground, but hey, it's how the game works. So let's place down that hop field because it's basically a free decision. And then the sand pit, similar reasoning. There's not going to be too many buildings for it to interact with. I want to place it first before I start lowering my decisions elsewhere. Placing them beside brickyards will get them more points. I'm never going to be able to touch this guy, so that might have been a mistake, placing this brickyard all the way over here. I think it's something that got me to one of my break points, though, so that's fine. I can either place a sand pit over here, or I can place it from this side. This one gets me a little bit more of an awkward position if I want to hit that brickyard up top, unless I go... Maybe I can get it from a weird angle here? No, I think the best that I'm going to do is this. So now, do I place it on the right-hand side here for 18? Or do I place it on the left-hand side here for 18, wherever I found it at 18 before? I'm going to place it over here so that I can, well, ooh. I was going to say I could keep walking them in this direction. There's no more sand over here. I can't keep walking them in that direction. So, you know what, vibes based, I'm liking this angle a little bit better. It feels a little bit more tucked in a corner. I like that. Now, again, we're waiting on a city center before we place any of those houses. So let's place down the mill for some points. This is taking up some space away from the houses, but I think I'm fine with placing it here. Now, wheat fields don't score anything unless they're beside mills, but I don't know if I'm going to be getting too many wheat fields overall for it to be worth it to try to place them beside mills. And I might also just be able to get another mill eventually, place one, say, over here, and then start stacking wheat fields up top. So I'm going to put him in a space that just feels nice. He's taking up the one slot left behind by this house, and now I just need to place a singular house to be able to get the next breakpoint. Here's the first S shape that we've seen. Now, mansions can come in all shapes that houses do, except for this S shape. Don't know why, it's just how it works. Now, this is looking like a pretty good placement. However, I want to get 15 points somewhere, even if it is getting close to where I'm placing my second city center. So, I mean, it just fits well there. I'll go there, and we'll open up the next pack, see what we get. A shaman. So these guys in the first game were great to put by city centers because things like mansions, yeah, it still does. Mansions and houses like being beside them. However, they don't really like being beside city centers all that much. Not masons either. So if I can get a shaman up here, let's say, I will be able to place houses and mansions beside it for extra points. Now, it does kind of suck that I didn't think ahead to the shaman. These mansions don't benefit from its score anymore, but I would really like them to. So maybe I place a shaman even further out over here. I mean, it's pretty good scoring. Oh, and one of the new mechanics that they added in this game, it's not just radii that like count your score. This one is it shoots out a bunch of rays, and for every ray that you block, you gain some extra score. So it likes being in corners, it likes being sectioned off. That's why I'm always trying to shove it up against a wall to see how I'm going to get the most points from it. And it is nice that eventually I'll be able to place some mansions up top here to be able to get a few more points. It's not like putting it up against this wall is like making it half as effective for the other buildings. And I don't particularly feel like placing it in the... no, I could place it in the middle here. It's not too much of a point loss. 3 options. Well, I could also scroll it to see if it goes better anywhere else. I'm not gonna be able to place anything over here. Yeah, I'm gonna limit myself to here because I want the houses and the mansions to be beside it. We've got I remember getting 14 points from here one time. Yeah, 14 points. We've got 28, so I need to make up 14 points if I'm going to be placing it on this side, which I think is more likely because the mansions that I'll place here, I'll be able to fit more in between the shaman and the statue to be able to benefit from them twice. And then I've got 8 points here, which means that I need to make up the full 18 difference. And if I were to have, let's see, if I were to have 4 houses beside it, more than I would in the corner, then it would be worth it overall. Yeah, I think that's worth it to place it all the way out here then. So I'll place this guy down, and as much as I can, I'm going to be waiting on a city center to be placed beside the shaman to be able to rack up the points with houses and mansions. So let's seaweed farm and seaweed field. Let's see how many points we can get by scooping up the old farms without touching the old field without touching the farms. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields placed, and I can interact with, I believe it's 3 of them I saw before. I can interact with 2 of them like this, not the greatest. Yeah, I guess I was expecting to be building down a little bit more this way, but because I was holding off waiting for this farm in particular, I just didn't. Now, this, I think, is the best placement I'm going to get, because then any fields in the future are probably going to be able to hit this net, and, like, the seaweed fields are going to be close enough to the farm. And if I can get it to do that thing where it lowers, then it's closer to where the seaweed fields are placed, so it's going to hit the, like, I guess the apex of the circle, the edge of it. It's gonna have the best chance to be in range of all of them. Now let's see if there's any weird angles that I can get this at to get all 3 other than just the most obvious one. I'm liking that. And then if I were to get, let's see how close that one is. God, oh my god, it swings into the blue circle, it just doesn't stay there. Okay, so if I get something that's a 1x2, this will be able to hit all 3 again. So that means if I build here, I'm planning for the future as best I can. Now, because I didn't want to place any mansions or houses till I get another city center, I am just going to pop it on the lighthouse to be able to get as many of these farms covered as possible. Let's see, what's my draw? It's still at 5. I think it's going to go down to 4 once the compass needle passes the top again. Oh, there's a 50. Yeah, that's just the place to put it down. Okay. Now, granted, I didn't need to put down that seaweed field or farm because I'm at 27 points now, but it's not like I lost too much off of it. We have yet another mason. Now, this one... It doesn't like being near the shaman, it doesn't like being near the other masons. I don't think I'm going to get a very high scoring mason here, but it can be one that will benefit the houses when they do come over. 11 points versus 9 points when I place down my houses in this corner. I think it's fine to go here. hold off on that before I build any houses. Let's see if a fountain gets me a lot of points. Now, fountains score based off of being beside city centers, mansions, and houses. I think these guys score a little bit more for when you put them beside a fountain, or they're the same. They are the same for mansions. They are the same for houses. So it doesn't matter which one I place down first, although the fountain has a larger range than both of them, I believe. Same range as houses, larger range than mansions. So it's nice to put this down beside mansions specifically. I think just building it here to maximize on points and then have my houses get more in the future is nice. We'll go there. Now we've got another 28 points to go. Yeah, 28 points to go. I could place down like 2 houses and get myself there. Yeah, because I am planning on the city center to be a bit further out now that I've had to build for points while I'm waiting on another city center. So let's place a house here. And let's place a house here. Fisher. These guys are great with a lot of city centers, but we haven't been getting them. I could consider the lumber pack at this point, but again, a fisher is 1 building. I think how the game works is that it's going to have more chances to spawn buildings that I've already chosen. Maybe it's got limits on like how many city centers specifically you can have, or masons, just like hard limits, but it randomly distributes it afterwards. So any more chances that I have to get a city center would be better. But that, I could just be talking out of my ass on that one. Let's see what a fisher looks like, just in general. 23 points isn't half bad, to be honest. Wow, 24 points. Do I get any more for sneaking in the lighthouse? No, because I think I hit too many seaweed farms. Ooh, no, never mind. Okay, so I can get like a 20-point one down here, and then I could maybe get, yeah, another 20 point up here, and they'll probably be outside of the range of each other. Now, if I place down this one first, it's getting 6 points in the city center. That's the biggest jump. It's not going to be able to hit that second one, but this guy over here, I might be able to lower down enough to be able to get the second city center in. So we'll place a fisher out here to get us some points. Oh, that's a misplay. My house that I put down here would have been in range of one of these masons, which I had planned to place anyways, so I should have done that. I am just going to get that done now. Now I've got a lot of mansions and nowhere to put them yet. Again, I want the city center there so bad to get another 8 points on like each mansion that I play over here. So we'll fill out the back a little bit more. I might have to concede and play a couple here just because I'm starting to score a little bit lower than what I would want. I'll start with my houses first, though. Oh, that guy fits nicely. Yeah, too hard not to place that one. I'm seeing a 29. I'm seeing a 29-point house right now. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now I could play a 24 here and leave a space open on the top for another house to fit in, and I think I'll do that. This next house that goes here will be the 29, hopefully. I'll have to get an S. No, an S shape won't fit. I'll have to get one of the L shape houses to be able to fill out that space, which kind of sucks that I'm shoehorning myself into one particular type of house to fit it in close enough to get that city center. But it might work out. Plateau. Now, this... I have not planned ahead for the plateau at all. This guy likes being beside city centers and masons specifically, and it, after you place it down, likes having houses placed on top specifically. Whereas at plateau +6, it's basically like being beside another city center. And that can also just be you play houses beside the plateau and they'll still get points. So, I want it to be beside the Masons for a good base score rather than just the score off the houses. Because like 24, that is just another house being placed on top of the plateau. It'd be great if it could be beside the city center as well. But I don't think I'll be able to eke that out. Now, in the old game, you used to be able to put like a plateau, say, where is it? I got it locked in at one point. Here. And then for whatever reason, you could like clip it and you could slide it underneath the world. In this game, you're not able to do that. You are still able to place it underneath some things, which feels a bit weird, but will also be very, very beneficial later. So I'm thinking placing a plateau here for 24 points, and then allowing more houses to be built off of these masons. This plateau might be good, or it might be good for just like placing a market on this specifically. The market will probably get all of the houses within range that I place up here, and any warehouses that I place down here that benefit from the brickyards that I have set up. And I don't think there's any other space up here that fits. If I didn't have the shaman down, I would love to place a plateau first and a shaman second, but that shaman's been necessary to be placed for a while. I'm not gonna overthink it. Here we go. Oh, I've also forgotten that wheat fields can be placed on top of plateaus and do quite well for points. Let's see just what a house would score over here. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Oh, and S block does get that last city center. I think I'll wait a little bit on it. Can I do this? No, the L block is probably gonna aim to the wrong side and then it won't reach. Is it? No, that's pretty good. I'll stick with that placement. Okay, then the L block, does it fit? Yes, it does. Oh, exactly how I wanted. 34 points on a single house. That's like a lighthouse, by the way. And I don't even have a second city center beside that house yet. Parks, gonna take those. Still no city center. Maybe they changed that about this game. Because I remember getting a lot earlier on where you could like have 2 city centers doubled up. We're also about to get to our draw 3 only. So a shaman, I might not be able to place this for, what is it, like houses to scale off anymore. I could eat the -5, or I could look to see where I could place this for points. So the max we get over here, I think, yeah, 26. Compared to the lowest that we'll get over here is -5, meaning that I'm going to need to place 6 houses beside this shaman for it to be worth it. Or like 2 mansions, 3 houses, like some combination of the 2. Mansions are still going to be along this bottom edge, and I think that's going to be worth it. This guy being 18, this guy being 13. Again, not gonna overcomplicate it. It is 5 houses total. So the 26 points here, while it is good for right now, is not good long term. I'm gonna have enough points to pull me out of the hole. I can put it down. Now I haven't really checked. Okay, statue, plateau, mill, hermitage, but nothing with a shaman. Shaman likes flowers, doesn't like fields. Okay. Does a shaman like parks? No. What do parks like? A lot of things. Hop fields, wheat fields. Not very much on the wheat fields. I thought it was more. Oh, it doesn't fit on any of these squares. That kind of sucks. Yeah, the plan for placing parks up here for points might not have been the greatest, especially with low draw. The low draw is drastically changing how this plays from Islanders 1, by the way. Ooh, never mind. I forgot about this spot in the corner. So this is plus 18 points. Meaning I would have to have like 3 less houses beside it for this to be worth it. And I think I can get that done. Plus any houses that I place up here or anything that interacts with the shaman up here can also fit. So then let's get another house in, hopefully hitting that city center, and maybe the other shaman at the same time. Oh yeah, right there, right there. And then we're gonna look for mansions over here instead of houses. So... but that's too good of a spot to pass up. 30 on a house. Okay, I've got 5 mansions. I should get around to placing some of them. I will want a L block in there. Hopefully that's long enough to fit an L block. If it isn't, then it's just a little bit awkward and I have to bite the bullet, but I am gonna keep some space for it. Let's make sure that there's enough space on this side. Yeah, there's definitely enough for, oh, even another 2x2 if I need it. Okay, here's the, it does fit. Okay, so now that I'm wasting 2 bits of space there, I need to move this guy up to the edge as close as I can, and then get this guy to fit. Just a little bit too close. Move this far away, and I can't zoom in any more than that. Let's try there. Yeah, that's respectable. Ooh, huts. Now these guys, like a lot of the, I don't know how to put it, but like the natural industrial buildings, but not the actual industrial buildings. Shamans, I think fishers, yeah, fishers as well, lighthouses, seaweed farms. But mostly they want to be in between your city centers. So if you had one city center here and one here, then you'd place a hut in between the two of them, getting both of them. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. A third shaman. There is no way I can fit it in here in good conscience, especially with so little space left to build. That spot in the corner doesn't work anymore, but I still can get. I think I saw an 11 here somehow. A 19. In the corner. A 28 down here. Yeah, that's gonna be the best that I can do for a shaman. Man, I really misplayed on the wheat fields. I should have played my mill up here and a bunch of wheat fields around it. Next up, we need to get 60 points to finish this off. I could wait a little bit longer on a brewery, make sure that it's in range of a tavern that I place later. A singular wheat field over here. No, it's not happening. It's not happening. Let's continue on the mansion strategy between the. Oh, it's not in range. Okay. I can get one in range here if I do a bit of. Oh, crosses that gap. I'm kind of fine with that. Having a mansion on a hillside would be kind of nice. Now I need to make another 44 points. Can I do that with 2 houses? 22 and not quite. Okay, if I build one here, am I able to put one of these skinny pieces in this guy still? Guess it's better for me to do this first and check that one after, because I can't check not with this L piece. And the plateau hasn't been providing me much yet. All changes to make for next time. Okay, so this, it blocks off a lot of space, but it gets me to the next building pack. I don't think I can do that. What I am gonna do is, this guy was, I think, an L block that fits in like that. If I put this guy down first, does he fit? No, you can't tell me. You can't. Oh, don't say it so. Okay, so I need to pull this L block out. So like here. I'm gonna just go through. Oh, and that's a perfect amount of points. I know it's blocking off a lot of space in there, but I'm not gonna worry. We're only drawing 3 new buildings. I'm not going to be expecting a new city center anytime soon. I should just be building based off of what I have. Now, towers are very small and can fit. Honestly, they feel like they can fit anywhere. They like being by masons a lot, and any of your houses. So you'll place them, say like one over here, and then the next one would be down on this corner, so that they don't touch each other's radiuses, but they both get your entire set of buildings. This would be great if I had a second city center over in the corner, because I could have all of these houses and another set of houses, making this guy worth like 80 or something. These I'm gonna hold on to for as long as possible, because you always get a small drip feed of houses and mansions that you can place down, but you don't get towers too often. Now, ooh, I don't like having to settle for smaller than 20 points. I remember the good times of having 30 points on a single house, seeing a 1 in the number. Not a good time. I think this is the space that I need to save for my new mansions. I need to make it to 100 points before I get my next building pack. I might have to place down all of these buildings just to get another draw. Okay, so the plan at some point was to transition down onto this plateau. I guess that's where I can start placing my newest houses. Can I place this guy? Yeah, at right angles, probably the best. And we'll get him to take up less space on the plateau. Let's see where this park can get points. Right, I can place him on any of the edges there. There's not any space left with all my houses. 14-point park. I'm not seeing anything better. There. Now, if I were to replay this, knowing that I don't have to worry about space as much, the hop fields would have been moved over here, so the brewery could have been affected by both the farms and the hop fields at the same time. So I'd play a lot less for space, a lot more for optimization in Islanders New Shores. Good to know for next time. He's going to be secluded and put down there. Now, if I could make it to the next round with a tower, I could expect to get like another 3 points off of it. But if I play it now, then I leave my options open to potentially score a lot more. So let's see where we can get the best tower. And yeah, that hut's also going to need to be placed to hit the next breakpoint. Unless I find a crazy tower spot somewhere that I just haven't considered yet. It's looking like 45's our best. So I want to put them as far as I can over here, so that I can place another tower over here to get 45 points, and another tower over here to get roughly 45 points. That way, none of them intersect. You'll see it very commonly, especially when I place lumberjacks in other games, to like triangulate around a central position, mostly. It's usually the best way to be able to get as many things in the center as possible without touching any of the radiuses on the corners. That was a 44. I was not looking when I placed that one. It's my bad. 45. We gotta get every single point we can. Okay. What's next? A warehouse. That's going to be fun to place because I remember, yeah, putting everything around here specifically for a warehouse to do well. Um, hmm. It sucks that it's slightly raised, so the warehouse doesn't want to go there. It's too high off the plateau, so I guess I can just place it there. Go next. But I saw a seaweed field and I got excited because I did so much planning for this, and it's not paying off as much as I wanted it to. Again, we're waiting on a 2-piece right there to be able to hit that seaweed farm. Any off chance that I do get it, I'll hold on off for now. Alright, so I had to step away there for a bit. I'm back. Not too long, so I still remember where most things are, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to get done. Warehouse in this corner, and seaweed field over here. And I do remember that there's a 2 seaweed field that can fit and hit all 3 of these guys. So I'm going to leave that open for later. I think there's going to give me enough space. I just want to... Maybe I can get off of the original Tetris piece. No, I'm not going to get any more seaweed fields. I'm drawing 3, and I'm maybe going to get 1 or 2 more building packs. I shouldn't be planning too much for the future. This one seaweed field that I'm waiting on is enough planning. Then the warehouse. I've never actually looked to see what this scales off of. I've only ever just placed it down thinking that it's going to do well. So a brewery. I want to place down the brewery before I do a warehouse. I think I'm fine to cash in on that now. Just putting it as close to as many other buildings as possible is best, I think, here. And the warehouse is with where I wanted to place it, not in range. Brewery has to be down here. Good to know. Okay. And here. It's a lot of points. Not enough, though. Not enough. Time to place down one of my other houses then, because I don't think I have any good mansion spots left, to be honest. Ooh, that's a sneaky house. Okay. What's the next building? A tavern. This is going to get me a lot of points, with a brewery being down below where all the rest of my houses are. Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot. I don't think it's enough to push to the next building pack, though. Very sad. Mansions can need negatives from being near a tavern? No, they don't. Okay, good. Does it get any positives from being near mansions? Yeah, okay. I do remember this being a house only thing. There. So now, this mill did benefit a couple buildings. I can't remember exactly which. I think it was the hut down here, the warehouse here, and maybe something like the fountain. I'm not sure. But if I were to place it, say, up on this pedestal instead of the park, I think my wheat fields might have been enough to push me over to the edge, to the next building pack, because I get +5 for being beside mills. So it's 25 points overall. I think I'm going to be shy by 25 points. Best places to put wheat fields. We're looking to put them beside the plateau and the mill. Ooh, that might actually be enough if we... 1, 2... Oh, please tell me there's enough space for 4 here. Please. 1, 2... Even a bit more. And then we place this beside the other... Oh, we can't place it beside the other wheat fields. Which does mean that I get to do the 7 point that I said from way earlier on in the video. And is that enough to make it through the mentions? It is going to be enough. I get 1 last building pack. Let's just get the most points with these guys. 1 here. 1 here. And then 1 down by the plateau. want to save that tree for in case I get a park. And if I get another mansion on the next one, I'll be able to get some more points from having the buildings be beside each other. Another one. Last building pack. Ooh, so as much as I want to take the high earner of a circus, there's no good spot for me to put it down beside the rest of my houses. Let me click off so there's more space on the screen. Placing it here might work. There might be enough space, but then it's not around too many of them. So I think just taking the lumber pack and picking up some of the trees would be nice. 2 lumber mills here and maybe a sawmill down here to be in range of both the lumber yard and the warehouse. I don't think that's going to happen though. We're still going to pick it. It's only 2 buildings. It's not that much of a difference. Let's get these in range of the statue rather than... Yeah, there's not enough down there. My man does not care about the flowers. He could get rid of them all day. There's fine. And then anywhere to get the sawmill in range of both the statue and this to get us... How many points on this run? 1,263. I'll reset and see if I can do any better than that. But for now, let me just screenshot that and tuck it away for later.